What's up guys, PBD here and welcome to another episode of the Trophy Cabinet. Today's tournament is the Super League Superliga, and the requirements for this tournament were to have at least 6 players in the starting 11 from the Superliga. And just in case you were wondering what that league is, it's actually the Danish league. So I did have trouble building a team at first because I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I didn't want to go all Superliga, because if I did, I kind of would have been handicapping myself, because I knew a lot of people would do what this guy in the final is doing and just have a bunch of players that are really good off chemistry, and they would obviously play better than me because I don't really notice a difference in chemistry. So I went ahead and built a half BPL side, and then the other half was the Danish league players, and somehow I got it to work. I'm not sure how, but it ended up working. And right off kickoff, our opponent actually paused it, and I knew that he was going to bring on subs, so that is what I went ahead and did. As you saw right there, I went ahead, brought on James, and I also brought on Ramirez. I actually saved the third sub for later, just in case, because I feel like it would be kind of a waste just bringing them all on at half. And as you saw right there, he brought on 3 players, so I was right about that. He brought on Nap. Not sure who the second guy was, but the third guy was Schneider. And to be honest, I did expect him to bring on some better players than that, but still better players than what he had, so you can't really complain about that. And over here, we would create the first chance of the game. Zugolini, one of my favorite silver players to play with right there, sends Aguero through with a great chance. However, a terrible finish by me. I really should have gone on to his right foot and finessed it into the top right corner. I had enough space to do it, so that was a definite terrible finish by me. Can't blame Aguero for that. But over here in the 20th minute, a chance at redemption for Aguero, as he does get himself an assist right there to Schwartz, one of the best players from the Superliga on FIFA, at least, because he was one of the guys who got me a lot of goals, and he had to because he was one of the strikers. So glad to see him score in the final. And in the 42nd minute, we would have a chance to make it 2-0. Over here, James with a long shot. You know long shots are overpowered. You know how much I love James, so I'm always going to try and take a long shot with him. And it ended up working in our favor right there, as he makes it 2-0 at the end of the half. So a pretty nice start to this final. Things are looking good. I'm playing pretty well, creating a lot of chances. Just need to finish more often than I don't, because I really should have scored that chance with the goal early on. It would have been very nice to have a 3-0 lead. And over here in the 44th minute, early from kickoff, our opponent would try to get an attack going. However, Schwartz is showing his defensive work right there as he steals it. It ends up in James' feet, and we give it back to Ramirez. Ramirez to Zugolini. Zugolini sends Aguero through once again. Now he just has to beat 2 defenders, beats one, beats another with pace, and then he finishes it off by beating off the goalkeeper right there. Whoa, that sounded really wrong. Beating the goalkeeper right there. Makes it 3-0, and this time Aguero does get himself a goal. And I honestly thought that once I started building up that play, the ref was just going to blow for halftime and screw me over. Luckily, though, he didn't blow the whistle. We got ourselves our 3rd goal, and we have a very nice 3-0 lead going into the half. So a very dominant display by the team in the first half, looking to repeat that in the second half. However, things didn't start off too well in the second half, because over here, our opponent would get an attack. We do steal it, though. James with a great block right there to stop the play. And over here, we give it to Ramirez. Well, we try to give it to Ramirez. Ends up in James' feet. James gets... Oh my god, what am I saying? James gets the 2nd goal right there. Makes it 4-0. And with that, we are looking good for the final over here. James is just so good. I've said it so many times, but he scores in like every final we play in. It's just incredible. And over here in the 50th minute, we were trying to make it 5-0. Zugolini steals it, however, it does end up in our opponent's feet. Tosic with a great touch right there to beat Baines. Then he beats Otamendi, and over here, he just goes ahead, runs through everybody, finesses it at the near post, and a great run and finish from Tosic. Not much I can say about that. It was a good run with a combination of terrible defending by me, and with that, we give away our first goal on the final over here, but we still have the 4-1 lead. Just have to try and get that 5th, because you never know in FIFA. And over here in the 62nd minute, we do a stupid clearance right there with Otamendi, end up passing it backwards to our goalkeeper. However, it ends up in Lacazette's foot, chips us, and honestly, what did I just do right there? A terrible play from Otamendi. Then I make the situation even worse by passing it backwards with like 1 bar of power right there with aggro. So can't blame the players. Got to blame myself for that because that was absolutely terrible. However, Wirtz, I think that's one of our midfielders. If it's not our CDM, it's definitely our center mid right there. Comes up big right there. Gets us our 5th goal. Makes it 5-2. And what a game this is. 7 goals so far. And I'm sure it's not over, because there is still plenty of time for both teams to get a goal or 2. And over here, we would try to get that 6th goal over here. Wirtz with a great turn right there, gives it to our right back Ankerson. Ankerson gives it to James. James to Aguero. Aguero does well to beat the defender, beats the goalkeeper, makes it 6-2, grabs his 2nd goal of the game. And what a performance from Aguero in the final over here. Similar to James, they both have 2 goals right there. And we are looking to win this. With that 6th goal, we pretty much sealed it at that point. And over here, our opponent would get the last lap though, because he does end up scoring right there. Has a shot. Schmeichel gives him the rebound. Schmeichel was one of those players I hated to use, but I kind of had to because he gave me that Danish link and the BPL link. But whatever, we ended up being victorious. 6-3 scoreline. Pretty crazy. I feel like had we defended better and scored more of our chances, we could have won by a bigger margin. But it doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, what matters is that we are the champions of the Super League Superliga tournament. A silver trophy, which is actually something we haven't gotten in a while, so that's nice to see. And we go ahead and open the mystery pack. I think we end up getting a jumbo premium players pack, or whatever it's called, a jumbo gold pack. And we actually end up opening that pack and getting nothing. So anyways, guys, this is going to conclude this episode of the Trophy Cabinet. This has been the Super League Superliga. Thank you so much for watching. My name is PBD, and I'm out.